Hello everybody, it is your boy Jake, also known as Lawst here, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Now today I'm bringing you guys another Storytime video, and for today's Storytime video, this happened really recently. This happened about 3 months ago. It happened in March, and I was up in Vermont for a snowboarding trip. So this is actually really recent, so I decided to share it because it happened really recently and I want to keep it fresh on my mind. And this story is really funny, but you can probably already see where this is going by the title of the video. No, I did not get banned from the mountain. I just got kicked off for the day, but it was still a pretty funny story, so I'm gonna just hop right into it. So first off, I was in Vermont for about a week with my girlfriend and our friend, and we were just basically staying in the mountains for about a week. I was at her house for a little bit, but every day my goal was to go snowboarding because I live in Florida at the moment, and obviously you cannot be snowboarding in Florida because winter is not existent. Anyways, so it comes to this specific mountain. This is like, I call it my home mountain because I know it like the back of my hand. Like, I literally know every single trail, not by name, but like I know where I'm going always on this mountain. Like, I just know where it's gonna end up. So I decided to come to this mountain with my one friend that I used to be really good friends with back when I lived in Vermont a few years ago. So I asked him if he'd be available that day to come meet up with me, and he said yeah. So he pulls up to the mountain that day around like 10 in the morning. We get our lift tickets and we start on our first run, and this is like one of the more expert runs. And we start, you know, the first part of the day is pretty good. You know, we're just having fun, catching up, talking about what's been going on in our lives for the past few weeks, few months, few years. You know, just catching up with an old friend, same old, same old. And, you know, we start getting a little ballsy, you know. So throughout the day, we just start going on harder and harder trails. We start doing what we shouldn't be doing. And basically, you know, obviously that ends up with our tickets getting taken. But this one specific run, we are on the chairlift going up. And if you guys have ever been to a mountain before, obviously you're on the chairlift, and then there's normally some sort of trail that's below the chairlift, and they call it lift line most of the time. But anyways, we're on this one lift, the one that we took for the first run of the day. We're going up, and we're looking down the lift line, and there's a big cliff, and right below it there's like some jumps that were not like intentionally there. They're just some jumps on the side of a trail, and we saw some skiers hitting those jumps that were right near the cliff. And we thought it was pretty cool, but the only way to get there was through cutting a closed trail. So obviously we're like, you know, trying to be careful, but we didn't care because we really wanted to hit that at that point because it seemed like a good idea. So we get to the top of the lift and we're doing our thing. We make it to the top of that one closed trail, and we're sitting there thinking like, should we do this? Like, we're talking like, yo, should we do this? All of a sudden, ski patrol comes right behind us. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, literally, I cannot exaggerate that enough. He said it exactly like that. Don't do it. Don't think about it. Like, I just thought to myself, like, what is this goofy guy doing? Like, he passes us, and then my friend just goes. He ducks the rope and goes, and I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm going. Like, you know, I'm following my friend. I'm not dipping. So I follow him under the trail. We start going around, and then we make it in the woods, and we start cutting through the woods to get to the top of the hit. And so we hit this little jump that we were talking about. And then, you know, we just, you know, we're assuming like we're good. We're like, we're in the clear, like easily, like nobody's around us. Like, we're good. You know, we keep going down the lift line because that's like our favorite trail at the time. We were going down the lift line, hitting the moguls. It was a really nice powder day, so it was really fun. We were hitting cliffs, hitting the moguls. And we get to the bottom, and there's like a terrain park at the bottom of the specific lift. That's a pretty decent terrain park. We always make sure to hit that because it is a very good one. And so we're coming up to the top of it, and most of the time terrain parks are like roped off at the top, and then they have a tiny little entrance. This specific one was roped off in kind of a Z, like it was formed like a Z a little bit. So like the rope, you'd have to take a left and then take a right to kind of slow down to get to the top of the park. And you know, all day, instead of doing that bullshit, me and my friend are literally ollieing over the ropes because it's fun. You know, we're being creative. Like, we ollie over the ropes, you know. So I'm ahead of my friend at this point. I ollie over the rope, and then all of a sudden there's a ski patrol guy sitting right there, but he doesn't recognize me. It was the same one from earlier, but he didn't recognize me. He told me, he said straight to my face, take your board off, go back up, put it back on, and ride back in. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then he said, And he said in a more stern voice, go back up with your board taken off, strap back in and ride around. And I was like, okay, like I'm not arguing with this guy because, you know, I didn't know. I recognized him, but he didn't recognize me. So I knew. I was like, okay, I'm not going to try to get any more trouble. I take my board off and I start going. My friend comes around, does the same thing. Homie says, same exact thing to him. Take your board off, go around, come back in. He says, no, I'm not doing that. And he's like, no, like you're doing that. And he's like, no, you're not my dad. You're not my teacher. Like you're not in charge of me. And all of a sudden they start fighting. I'm not paying attention at this point. I'm not seeing what they're saying. I'm just sitting there trying to listen, trying to make like, you know, all of a sudden he's like, oh, you're also just the guy I'm looking for is what he says. And I'm like, oh, like we're busted. They continue talking. I strap my board in. And then right as I strap in, he looks over at me and he says, are you guys together? And I was like, nope. And then I just went to the bottom. I was like, screw it. I'll just meet my friend at the bottom of the mountain. Like, we're basically at the bottom anyways. Like, it's just a train park. So I go, and then I'm, like, at the bottom. And then all of a sudden, my friend comes out of nowhere. And I was like, what? Like, he was literally, like, 5 seconds behind me. And I was like, did he take your pass? And he was like, no. And I was so confused. I was like, what? So I was like, okay, so he should be good. We start walking towards the lodge because we were about to take a break because it's pretty cold out. And then all of a sudden, the ski patrol guy is following us. And he comes up to me. He's like, show me your pass. In that voice, show me your pass. I'm like, oh, okay. So I take it out of my pocket. I show him the pass. He takes a stupid little phone. I don't even know, dude. It was some old decrepit phone. Whips it out. Takes a picture of my pass. You'll be hearing from us. I was like, what does that mean? You'll be hearing from. I was like, what? I literally said, what? What does that mean? And he's like, he says it again. You'll be hearing from us. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, don't cut the ropes. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, when you were up there at the top of the lift, I went right behind you and I said, don't do it. And you did it anyways. But with my story, you know, there's also an X. And then on the X, it said expert trail, like on it. But obviously the trail was closed off. But I went with, no, there was X'd off. It said experts only. So I went. And he's like, no, you heard me and you acknowledged me. And I was like, no, I didn't. I have my earphone in, blaring music. I can't hear you. And he's like, you still acknowledged me. And I was like, because you skied right behind me. Like, you know, if somebody's in your proximity, you're automatically gonna look at them or like, you know, like notice that they're there. Like, you just know, like, it's like a sense. Like, he's right behind me skiing. So I was like, you know, I tried to use that as my excuse. I was like, he's skiing right behind me. He was like, yeah, whatever. You know, he starts fighting with me about that. And I was like, what? Like, what's up? And he's like, I'm not the one to take your pass. And then he says once again, you'll be hearing from us. And then he walks away. And I'm like, okay. Me and my friend go in the lodge. We're just sitting there talking about like what happened and like what happened when I left. Like what he told me what happened. Basically the same thing. Like he took a picture of his pass. And we're like, okay, well, he didn't take our passes. So like, what are we going to get fined? Like for trespassing or something, for going on a closed trail, which people do all the time. And I was like, all right, whatever. We were talking, we eat, and then we go back out and we're like, all right, let's just go on another run because we still have like another hour left before the mountain closes. So we're in line, we're coming up, and some mountains, they just like, you just have the ticket hanging from you. And then some mountains you have the ticket in your pocket. And when you come up to a gate, it opens up for you. Like it automatically senses your ticket and then opens up for you. For us, we came up to the gate and it was going, and I was like, yo, what? And I already knew. I was like, oh, he took our passes away. He that little bastard. Lady comes out of the little box, like the operator, the lift operator, and she's like, hey, like it says on my screen, like your passes are locked, and if you guys want to go get help with that, go over here. All of a sudden, the same ski patrol dude sitting in the same line as us, he says, nope, what they should be doing is not cutting the ropes. And then she just looks at us and she's like, you guys should be good to come back tomorrow. And then my friend said, this, I'm not coming back tomorrow. And he threw his pass on the ground. And then I just like shake my head and then we just start walking to the parking lot. And I was like, bro, what just happened? Like, what? Nothing else much really happened after that. It was just a funny story, but like I was pissed at the time. I was like, bro, but looking back at it, we only had like less than an hour left before the mountain closed. So we only missed out on like an hour. So we got our money's worth out of it. We enjoyed our day. And it was such a funny story. Like looking back at it, I'm glad it happened. Like I'm so glad it happened. Like I don't care. That guy, I don't know. I'm so glad that happened. That was so funny. Anyways, if you guys made it to the end of the video, make sure you comment down below. I'd really appreciate that. You know, I'm already looking. Anyways, please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you guys haven't already. like the video, and yeah, I don't know what else to say, so I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.